now listening to the Arsenal Therapy Podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Arsenal Therapy Podcast. It should have been a perfect day in North London. We won 5-0. Viktor Gyökeres got 2 goals. Eberechi Eze was announced to the Emirates crowd before kickoff. Max Dowman made his debut and won a penalty. We saw Ethan Nwaneri really show some flashes of brilliance. A brilliant performance from Declan Rice and Zubimendi. 5 goals, as I've said. But we're going to focus on the positives for now because there were some downsides today. We saw Saka and Odegaard go off injured, but let's focus on the positives. Before the game, Eberechi Eze announced to the Emirates crowd arriving. Big moment, very strange announcement coming out at 5 p.m. But ultimately, this was one of those where it was a huge moment and a huge addition to the Arsenal team. And this is an absolutely superb signing. But it didn't take long for the game to start, and we started pretty well. Thought first 10 minutes were excellent. And ultimately, it was a case of next 10 that Leeds really got into it. Very disciplined, lots of hard work, lots of running. And it just took a bit of time for us to take the lead. But ultimately, it was Jurrien Timber that got us off to that start. And it was a corner again, set piece, fantastic delivery from Declan Rice, absolutely inch perfect. And Jurrien Timber wasn't picked up in the box. And it was a brilliant header into the bottom corner. And that really settled any nerves. It felt a bit nervy at one point in the Emirates today. It felt around the 20 to 30 minute mark that we were maybe struggling for ideas a bit. We just needed that first goal. And there was a lack of, I guess, confidence on the ball to really break Leeds down and get in behind. And that was after a very, very positive start because Odegaard had got a couple of early shots in. We hadn't got any on target, but we were threatening very early. Then we had the big header that David Raya made an excellent save in the box, tipping it over the bar. And that came not long before our goal. But once we scored, we looked at home. We looked like we could score more. And when Bukayo Saka put us 2-0 up with an absolute thunderbolt of a strike, it felt like we could score a third even before halftime. So much so that I was hoping that we would really push ahead and really grab the game in that kind of final 2 minutes before the whistle went, because it felt like Leeds were really hanging in there, felt like they were falling apart, and they were dismantled. The defending for the second goal was equally as bad as the first one, but it was an absolute thunderbolt from Saka, inch perfect into the top corner, and it just showed his quality. You could see him purring throughout the game, and you could see Madueke on the other side, getting around, playing those crosses early on his left foot. Not all of them came off, but what I loved seeing was the directness that he was playing with. We saw some big switches out to him early, getting that ball out. And Madueke is a player, when he receives, he will have his shoulders back. He'll face up to his man, and he can go at them 1v1. The thing with Madueke is he can get the ball caught under his feet as well. We saw that a couple of times today. But ultimately, he's someone that likes to get his head up, likes to get his shoulders back and really run, get the ball into the box. And we saw Calafiori going around the outside, going on the inside, and giving Madueke a constant option. Once again, Calafiori was absolutely brilliant in this game. And if anything, we saw another layer to his game defensively because he was very, very switched on and very focused down that left-hand side in general. But we saw Declan Rice once again coming in behind, allowing Madueke to go forward. So Rice was coming into that almost auxiliary left-back role with Zubimendi sitting in the middle of the park and really allowing Arsenal to tick. And those two are two that I want to give special focus to. This is a phenomenal midfield pairing that Arsenal have. The two of them are so intelligent in and out of possession that Zubimendi knows when to go forward and Declan Rice knows when to come back and cover for him and have that big body in front of the defenders. He also knows when he can drop into the sixth position and distribute. And similarly with Zubimendi, he's incredibly intelligent at finding space. He is a chess master, not just with the ball, but with his own body, and to create space in and around the kind of the edge of the defense for our players. What we saw from Zubimendi today at times frustrated me from our players that weren't giving him the ball rather than Zubimendi. There were multiple times where you just thought, play the simple pass into him. And then as the game went on, this was more the first 30, I thought we should be using him more. And then as the game went on, we really started to trust him more and more. And we saw the Zubimendi that we really saw in pre-season. Against United, he had a tough game. He was coming back from illness and he was really battling to get through, but he still passed the test and he really grew into that game at Old Trafford with scrappiness in the game. And today we saw that. He's an unbelievable timer of a challenge. And add that to Declan Rice, who, in my opinion, is probably the best tackler in world football. He tackles like a centre back. He times it like a centre back. He times every challenge like he's the last man. Zubimendi's a player that won't come flying in and powerfully win the ball back. But what he will do is come in and nick the ball very, very cleverly. And next minute, he's gone. He's away. We saw that very early on. Arsenal started pressing forward. Zubimendi got the ball, edge of the box, won it off the Leeds defender, put it in, and Gyökeres clearly thought he had less time than he did and was completely off balance and scuffed the ball wide of the goal. That, to me, felt like a player that was just lacking a bit of confidence in that moment, that just was so desperate to get his goal. Rather than calm down and take that second, he's gone and try and smash it in the back of the net. And look, I love that enthusiasm from a player. I love my 9 to want to just go and get goals. But then, not long after halftime, he did get that goal. But just focusing on Declan Rice and Zubimendi, today, when they really settled into the game, Leeds couldn't get near the ball in the centre of the park. These two just passed the ball between them. We saw Rice driving right up until the end of the game. Perhaps he could have had a shot in his right foot with that big long drive at the end. But Zubimendi, both feet, but any passing lane you want, Zubimendi can see it, he can think of it, and he can execute it because he's so technically sound. But ultimately, the thing that's impressing me so much is how quickly these two seem fully in sync with each other. When one goes forward, the other comes back. And Zubimendi is a player that I've mentioned on this show before, will venture into the 8 role. He will find himself on the edge of the box. And that's something that I really love because he's a player that's very, very agile and he's so good with both feet. He will find those cute, really kind of soft passes in and around the box that we see players with really kind of agile ability, that guile that you would have saw from a Gundogan, for example. That's something that we haven't always had in our 6, and Declan Rice doesn't have that ability. Declan Rice has a wealth of qualities, but that kind of cute pass it at the edge of the box, that's not Declan's strong suit. He can do it, but he can't do it regularly. Zubimendi is a player that thrives there. But they just continued from probably about 15 minutes into the game. They really started to click. They were both good at the opening stages, but they just grew more and more into this game and looked more and more comfortable as the game went on, to the point that Arsenal saw this out by suffocating Leeds. Leeds couldn't get near us. Even whenever they did go back, one of these two was winning the ball back with ease. Add in, you've got Jurrien Timber on that other side, and Jurrien Timber is just such a battler and a warrior and someone that's so composed on the ball. He doesn't have Ben White's passing range or his overlapping ability, but Jurrien Timber has got such a total football ability that when he's on the ball, his touches are tight, his passing secure, he gets rid of it, he knows where to play it, he knows how to get his head up and find a teammate, and he was absolutely excellent today. But the big one was Viktor Gyökeres getting his goal, because this was one that felt like he just needed to get off the mark. Any striker, the one thing that you want is to get them on the score sheet, get them in early, get them scoring, and get them thriving, get them confident. And he's got a big game next week. We saw Gyökeres, and we saw similarities to what we saw against United, where the ball bounces off him a bit going forward. He is clumsy. He doesn't look after it as well as Kai Havertz does. He wants to flick it. And I talked to Adrian Clark about this, and I said, I see Gyökeres as a layoff player rather than a hold-up player. He's someone that I see similarities to Lukaku in the way Lukaku pops it off and turns and spins. Jamie Vardy does this. There's other top-class strikers that do this. They pop it off and they turn and they sprint. And that's what Gyökeres wants to do. And that's something different for Arsenal. But when he does that, he needs to make sure he's looking after the ball properly. And I think that's going to come because it feels like he's not fully fit. You could see him at times today. He didn't quite have the relentlessness that he usually does that we've seen at Sporting, but you could see him wanting to give it. So it didn't feel like a mentality issue. It felt like a fitness issue. And he had half his preseason lost because obviously he went on strike. This deal took a long time to get through. But the goal itself, when I first saw it, I thought that's a bit scrappy, but a good goal. Then I saw the replay and I thought, you know what, that's brilliant. He's got it down. We saw this kind of goal at Sporting, and people said, you won't kind of see this kind of goal scored against Premier League teams. Well, believe me, there's plenty of bad goals scored in the Premier League, and there are plenty of goals scored like this. This was a man determined to get a shot away. He does this time and time again. He did it in the Champions League. He did it against the best teams in Portugal. He did it in the Champions League as well. And he thrives. He scores goals. He finds ways to do it. And today, when we went 4-0 up, he definitely took the foot off the gas a bit. Then he got his penalty, which was a fantastic effort from Max Diamond, who really shone when he came on. But Gyökeres' penalty, when he stepped up, he looked so confident. And we saw this against Athletic Club in pre-season. The minute he scored, he just looked 10 times taller. And that's what we saw again today. 2 goals. That's a big, big day for him. He's going to go into that dressing room feeling top of the world and ready for Liverpool. And we're going to need that because we've lost 2 key players today. So we're going to need our new additions to really step up fast. And we've seen that with him. He had a battle on his hands at Old Trafford. That was a tough game, and no one was ever going to shine in that game. But Gyökeres worked hard and really give it everything. Today, he worked equally as hard. He pressed, he harried, he hunted the balls down. But Arsenal were just in so much control throughout the game that he didn't need to do the same volume of running that he did at Old Trafford. And at the end of the game, there were plenty of Arsenal players that were able to take their foot off the gas. But we were able to still spring forward. We were able to let Leeds come at us a bit, pop it around in our own half, and then spring forward on transition. We saw Wanari going forward. We saw Dowman doing it. Declan Rice, as I've mentioned, and Trossard on a few occasions. Some really nice runs from Lewis Skelly as well. But ultimately, this is a big day for Viktor Gyökeres because that goal is unbelievably important. And then to add a second from the spot, I think if it was a penalty as his only goal today, question marks still would exist. But the fact he's done it from open play and done it with a great goal as well. It's been a long time since Arsenal scored a goal like that. So it's a big, big finish and a big moment in the game. And it really was the goal that killed the game. At 2-0, there's always a chance that you can see the scrappy goal and it takes the game back into real battle. That was our issue last season. We kept being pinned back. We kept being pegged back from winning positions. We didn't have that player that would go and grab that final goal and really kill off the game. And today it was Gyökeres that did it. And he's been accused of being a flat track bully. That's kind of what we've needed. We've got players that can step up in big games because in those games, moments are tight. And that hasn't been Arsenal's issue. Our issue has been finding players willing to shoot in and around the box, willing to kill teams off. And that's exactly what he's going to do. But the obviously the kind of negative stories of the game were the injuries. So Saka's injury is one that doesn't look good. It looks like it could be a hamstring injury. He went down, he sat on the pitch for a few minutes, and when he got back up, he was hobbling. The expression on his face, it didn't look good at all. He said something to Mikel Arteta as he came off, and the two of them both looked concerned. This is a big, big blow ahead of Liverpool. But one thing I would say is depth matters. Depth is unbelievably important. We were killed by our lack of depth last season. Today, we were able to switch Madueke from the left to the right, and then we went on. We got another goal from a set piece, 4-0. Get Madueke off, make sure he's ready for next week, and make sure if Saka is going to be out, that we've got that player ready to come in and play. And having a player of Madueke's quality to come in and deputise for Saka is crucial because this injury came about through absolutely nothing. Saka didn't have a hard game today. He wasn't up and down that touchline defending. He wasn't being kicked to pieces. He had some good battles with Goodmanson on the left, who I thought had a reasonably good game for large spells. And ultimately, this injury has come as a result of just a carry through the middle of the park. He flicks it off, and something seemed to go in his hamstring. The hope is that it's a tweak. It's a very low grade injury, and perhaps we keep him out of next week's game. But you never know with hamstring injuries. It's never a good sign when a player sits down, especially when someone tore their hamstring in December and missed almost 4 months of football. So it's a big worry. And it's one that we're going to have to look at through the week and see where we're at. The other one is Martin Odegaard. I thought he looked fantastic. This one I'm less concerned about because I would imagine Odegaard went off because of fear of contact. He wasn't moving as well after the shoulder injury, but they'll get that iced up, any painkillers in it that they need to, and make sure he's recovering because he was the real leader on the pitch today. He was the one that was making things happen. The minute that challenge happened, our level dropped for about 10 minutes. That 20 to 30 minute period that I talked about, that was straight after Odegaard was taken down. And even the period of play that led to the injury, you look at it, the ball comes across, he opens his body, he skips between two players, and he starts to go and he gets hauled to the ground. and it's the landing. He lands very, very hard on that shoulder. But let's hope that he is okay. I would imagine that it's nothing serious. The fact that he came back on the pitch, you would expect that there is no kind of dislocation issues, anything like that. But he will get scanned through the week. Any swelling that's there will probably take a couple of days to go down, and we'll see him back in action soon. Saka's injury is the bad one. It's the one that we will worry about. But to finish on a positive note, Max Dowman, let's talk about this kid. 15 years old, coming on for his Arsenal debut. As I said, this should have been the perfect day. 5 goals, 2 goals for Gyökeres. Eze's announcement, Dowman's debut. It should have been a hell of a day for Arsenal, but those injuries have definitely put a bit of a tint on it. But Dowman, what was crazy is he just looked at home. He looked like a player that was born to play at this level. Whatever he did, anytime he got the ball, he was happy to go at Goodmanson. He didn't look phased. Everything he did didn't come off. But he kept going and he kept trying. He had one shot that grazed over the bar that could have gone into the top corner. And what a way that would have been to announce yourself. But he ends up winning the penalty to make it 5-0. And he goes home with a big, big impact on his debut. 15 years old. Think of what you were doing at 15. This is absolutely insane. To have that level of quality and that composure and that assuredness on the ball is something that I've never seen before. And I've been following football for a long time. And when I even compare him to Ethan Nwaneri, I see something just a whole other level. I didn't see this from Saka at this age. I didn't see this from anyone at this age. The only players that I could think of being close when they broke through were Jack Wilshere in terms of sheer confidence and Cesc Fabregas. Those two played in the center of the pitch and bossed it from they were very, very young. But we have to remember, Dowman is 15. Those guys were 17 when they broke into the Arsenal team. 15 is absolutely wild. And we saw exactly what he's so good at, getting those arms up, making sure there's a good distance between him and his man, carrying with ease, running with his shoulders back, head up, full view of the pitch, and that confidence and that class to make sure that defenders are drawn to him. Because that's the key. Defenders get drawn to him. They know if they put a foot in, they're going to make a foul. And that's exactly what happened today. We got the penalty and we went 5-0 up, and the rest is history. But Max Dowman is going to play a big, big role this season. I didn't expect him to come on today. I didn't expect him to be involved so early, especially when we had players like Mikel Merino that were sitting on the bench. This is a big moment. And the fact that Arteta has thrown him in so early and given him half an hour again, that suggests that he could play a lot of football this season. First up, Arteta looked straight to Ethan Nwaneri whenever Odegaard got injured. There were other players that could have taken that spot, but he trusted his young teenage Hale End kid. And then whenever it came to taking Madueke off to protect him, he looked to Max Dowman, and at the same time, Lewis Skelly came on. This was a big day for Hale End. 3 players, 18 and under, all finishing the game together and all looking absolutely fantastic on the pitch. So let's leave it with that note. Let's leave on the positive. 2 goals for Gyökeres, a debut for Dowman, and of course, who could forget, Eberechi Eze is a gunner. He is here and he will probably play at Liverpool next week. But if you've enjoyed the show, please hit the like button, please subscribe to the channel, and please drop a comment. Tell us what you think. Were you impressed with today? What more do you want to see? Things are definitely clicking, but there's definitely more work to do. And also, make sure to tell me what you think of Declan Rice and Martin Zubimendi, because this is the partnership that I have always dreamed of. Thank you, guys. Have a great night.